All right, welcome to the deep dive. We've got some really interesting threads pulled together here today.
Yeah, we do. It's all centered around a specific moment, really, in Indian sports that kind of feels like it tells a much bigger story.
Exactly. We're zooming in on a young athlete, someone making waves in a sport that, well, let's be honest,
Often flies under the radar in India.
totally. Table tennis. We're talking about Payas Jain and his journey at the recent Ultimate Table Tennis League, the UTT from 2025.
Right. And our mission here, you could say, is to really get under the skin of what happened in Ahmedabad.
See it through Paya's eyes, maybe, and
Right.
understand what this UTT lead actually means for Indian sports right now.
And why his story, specifically feels, well, significant. It's about unpacking more than just the scores.
Yeah, it's the grit, those maybe unexpected partnerships that popped up.
And the subtle shifts, the things happening just beneath the surface of Indian athletics.
Think of this as getting a front row seat to a moment of, I guess, potential change.
Yeah, exactly. We're sorting through the details, trying to pull out the really valuable insights, give you a clear picture of this corner of the sporting world.
Okay, so how about this for a starting point then? In a country that just lives and breathes cricket,
Mm-hmm.
how does a 20-year-old from Chennai manage to carve out his own space, dream big, even partner with a genuine global superstar?
All centered around that little white ball and a paddle.
Yeah. Let's dive in.
Okay, so first off, who's Payas Jain? Well, he's 20, as you said.
Yeah.
Comes from Chennai.
Right.
And even pretty early in his career, he did something quite remarkable.
Oh, yeah.
He's the only Indian player ever to win 3 medals at the Asian Junior and Cadet Table Tennis Championship.
Wow. Okay. 3 medals. That's not
Yeah.
typical.
Not at all. When you hear that, it immediately flags him. Someone with exceptional talent and probably a lot of drive, right, from a young age.
That really does suggest something special. And looking at, what makes him kick, it seems like it's more than just the shots he plays.
Definitely. Just descriptions of this real hunger he has, like to constantly learn, constantly improve, and this deep-seated grit. The ability to just grind through the tough moments every sport has them.
Of course.
And maybe most interestingly, this ability to keep a smile on his face,
Yeah.
even when he's facing down like world-class opponents.
That kind of mental strength, that's huge. Just as crucial as the physical skill, maybe more sometimes.
Absolutely. And the stage for this particular chapter we're focusing on was the Ultimate Table Tennis League, the UTT.
Right. UTT 2025.
This is the 6th season. It ran from June 1st to 10th, 2025, and it was held in Ahmedabad at the EKA Arena.
Okay, Ahmedabad. And picturing that venue, I mean, it sounds like it becomes this real crucible of energy.
Yes.
You can almost imagine the buzz from the crowd, the intense lights focused right on those tables, the sharp crack of the ball,
It's definitely designed to be a spectacle, not just, a quiet match.
and that spectacle element.
Yeah,
That sounds key to understanding why UTT matters so much for Indian table tennis.
it truly is.
Yeah.
Because that platform provides something incredibly valuable: direct exposure, competition against global stars.
Ah, okay. Not just watching them, but playing them.
Exactly. Indian players get to train alongside them, learn their routines, maybe pick up techniques they'd otherwise only see on video.
Hmm.
And with the format, 8 teams mixing Indian and international talent, it's really designed to be this high-level immersion experience.
A crash course, almost.
Yeah, you could say that. And Payas was right in that mix, playing for Stanley's Chennai Lions.
Got it.
But the partnership that really got people's attention, especially the mixed doubles, that was with Fan Siqi.
Ah, Fan Siqi. Okay, now her presence. That sounds like it elevated the whole league quite a
Oh,
bit.
massively. She's a major player from China, the absolute powerhouse of table tennis.
Right.
And her return to UTT was a big deal. Apparently the first Chinese player back since Wu Yang in 2017.
So quite a gap. And what's she like on the table?
Intense. Descriptions mention her world-class serves and this incredibly focused, almost intimidating glare. Like she could melt the ball.
Wow. Okay. So pairing that level of experience and intensity with a young, rising player like Payas.
Talk about a steep learning curve.
Exactly. And you mentioned the language barrier was a real thing there, too. How did that actually play out?
Well, it sounds like it was pretty fascinating to watch. They were like literally relying on signs and gestures.
No way.
Yeah, to communicate crucial tactics, sometimes mid-match. It wasn't just about hitting the ball. It was this daily puzzle, understanding each other's game, trying to mesh two different styles, different ways of communicating.
And presumably working through her translator.
Right, often working with her translator or manager, this guy Tony. The early days were described quite vividly, actually, like two people trying to dance salsa for the first time.
Huh. That's a brilliant image. A bit awkward finding the steps.
Exactly, a bit out of sync initially.
But they must have found some rhythm. Because their mixed doubles record, wasn't it 1-1?
It was. Which, when you think about the gap in experience,
Yeah.
the communication challenge, that's actually pretty respectable. Impressive, even.
Yeah, it really shows they built something real together over the course of the league.
They really did seem to. And, sometimes the most vivid lessons, the moments that stick, come from specific matches. There was one mixed doubles match on June 2nd.
Okay.
That sounds like it captured a lot of these dynamics.
Right, that was against Kolkata Thunderblades. Facing Selena Selvakumar and her partner. What was so notable about that specific match?
Well, for starters, the setting itself was a bit weird for UTT.
How so?
The arena was much quieter than usual. Apparently, due to some scheduling quirks, the stands were only half full. It was described as being quieter than a library during exam season.
Huh. That must have felt strange compared to the usual roar.
Yeah, a very different atmosphere. Yet, despite the quiet, the intensity on the table was definitely there.
Okay.
The descriptions mention them playing like they were, quote, defending the honor of Chennai's famous filter coffee.
Ah, love that. Captures that local pride element.
For sure. And facing Fan Siqi, well, that must have been pretty daunting for their opponents.
I bet.
Selena Selvakumar herself apparently admitted being incredibly nervous about fan serves, said it felt like trying to read hieroglyphics.
Wow, that really shows the level Fan brings. But Payas, he was crucial in that match too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
Reports mention his quick reflexes, his ability to anticipate spins, keeping rallies alive, contributing key points.
So he wasn't just riding her coattails.
Not at all.
Hmm.
And that partnership, the one that started out like awkward salsa, apparently by the third game of that match, they really clicked, became in sync.
And they got the win.
They did.
Yeah.
Secured the win, celebrated by the slightly smaller crowd that was there.
That feels like a really significant moment, especially for Payas. What do you think a young player takes away from a match like that? The weird setting, the pressure points, that evolving partnership?
Oh, it's invaluable. It's like a masterclass in adapting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Learning to perform when the atmosphere isn't what you expect. Adjusting to a partner's style. The communication challenges, literally on the fly. Dealing with those pressure points with a world-class player right beside you.
Right.
Those are experiences that just accelerate your development in a way that, regular practice just can't replicate.
That really brings up a bigger point, doesn't it, about table tennis in India generally. Because for so many people here, it is still seen as like a casual pastime, the game you play in the basement or the community center.
Totally overshadowed by cricket.
Completely. And that perception, that's what UTT is actively trying to change.
Yeah, that seems to be a major goal. By creating this professional high-energy league, it provides a serious stage.
Right.
It's showing young players, their families, maybe our wider public, that table tennis is a demanding competitive sport, that there's potential for a real career there.
It helps players gain confidence, maybe prove their commitment.
Exactly. And calling it demanding, that's almost an understatement. Some of the analogies used are great.
Like what?
Like playing chess at 100 miles an hour while doing cardio.
Okay, that paints a picture.
Doesn't it? You need unbelievable reflexes, stamina, and this ability to calculate angles, spins, trajectories faster than you can even consciously think.
So it's incredible physical fitness combined with really rapid mental processing.
Precisely. And that sheer difficulty is exactly why platforms like UTT are so vital for Indian players.
Because access isn't always there otherwise.
Right. Many don't have consistent access to, say, world-class coaching or the latest training methods, or even just elite-level sparring partners outside of a league like this.
So UTT becomes...
It effectively becomes that crash course in elite-level competition we mentioned.
Payas himself had a great quote about it, didn't he? Something about school.
He did. He said it felt like going to school, but instead of homework, you get to play against the world's best.
That perspective really highlights the learning opportunity, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a huge part of that school experience, undeniably, was the Fan Siqi factor, partnering with her. It was more than just playing matches together.
It sounds like it was pretty transformative. The description was just so vivid, like being handed the keys to a Ferrari when you've only driven a bicycle.
Huh. Yeah, it really captures that kind of leap, doesn't it? Beyond just the language and the style adjustments.
What else was there?
It was about witnessing firsthand, up close, the discipline, the mental approach, the technical nuances of a player from China.
From the country that just dominates the sport globally.
Exactly. Her manager, Tony, apparently mentioned understanding the value of UTT and feeling Fan would be a great fit, which, well, turned out to be quite an understatement.
In terms of the impact she had.
Yeah, not just on the league's prestige, but directly on players like Payas. It's exposure and learning. You can't easily replicate that in India right now.
It really feels like Payas' story here is a perfect microcosm of something larger happening.
I think so too. It fits right into this broader narrative about how Indian sports development is evolving.
You see momentum building, right, across different sports now.
Absolutely. There are significant supportive initiatives, government schemes like Khelo India.
Right, I heard about that.
Its budget got a big boost, up to 1,000 crore rupees in 2025. That's serious money. And funding is increasingly being directed towards various national sports federations too.
And you're starting to see the results filter through.
You are. Look at the Asian Athletics Championships in 2025. India bagged 24 medals there.
Wow.
Or the 21 medals won by Indian women wrestlers at the Ulaanbaatar Open. Payas is part of this generation that's benefiting from increased focus, increased investment.
Proving India has talent just waiting for the opportunity across the board.
Definitely. That said, it's also important to be realistic. Acknowledge the challenges that are still there.
Like what? Still playing catch-up.
Yeah, India's still playing catch-up compared to, the established sporting giants like China and Japan. There are ongoing issues with infrastructure, especially outdated facilities once you get outside the major cities.
Right, the hubs.
And securing corporate sponsorships.
Yeah.
It's improving, but it's still a significant hurdle. Someone described it as being harder than finding a quiet street in Mumbai.
Okay, point taken. It's clear the work isn't done. There was that quote, "We're building a house, but we've only laid the foundation."
Exactly. UTT is part of laying those crucial first bricks, maybe strengthening that foundation, but it's definitely a long-term project.
And through all of this, the steep learning curve with Fan Siqi, the pressure of those matches, the challenges of the sport itself, what consistently seems to come up as Payas's real asset, his secret weapon.
His mindset.
Yeah, his attitude. It feels very grounded, very focused on the right things.
It does. His comments after UTT, they weren't about, winning titles immediately. It was more about humility, gratitude. He was quoted saying, "I'm just happy to be here, learning every day."
That's a great perspective. And that touch of humor, too, that little quip about his Mandarin being limited to good shot when talking about Fan Siqi.
Right. It shows he can handle the intensity, the challenges, but with this valuable kind of lightness.
In a sport as mentally taxing as table tennis, being able to stay positive, learn from every single moment, not get totally overwhelmed by the pressure or the setbacks, that's incredibly powerful.
That mindset might be just as important as any, backhand flick or forehand smash he develops.
Totally agree. So looking ahead then, what's next on the horizon for Payas? Where does he go from Chennai, from this UTT experience?
Well, he's definitely got his sights set high. Major events like the Asian Games in 2026, they're clearly on his radar.
Okay. Big goals?
Yeah. And he explicitly sees this UTT experience as crucial prep for that. He feels this league exposure, competing against, learning from the world's best. It's building the confidence, sharpening the skills needed for those bigger international stages.
He actually said that, didn't he? Something like, "This experience will help me."
Well, it will definitely help me in bigger tournaments.
And he's not alone on this path, right? He's seen as part of a new wave.
Exactly. He's highlighted as part of this really exciting new generation of promising Indian table tennis players. Names like Srijay Kula, Manoj Shah, Nithya Srimani also get mentioned. It feels like a whole cohort is rising together.
That's exciting. And the UTT League itself sounds like it's poised for more growth, too.
Seems like it. There's already talk, rumors maybe, of attracting even more international stars in 2026.
Okay.
So this momentum, combined with that emerging Indian talent, it really does set the stage. India could potentially start making some significant noise on the global TT scene in the next few years.
So if we kind of step back and look at the core message from this deep dive into Payas Jain and UTT 2025, what is it?
I think it's just a really powerful illustration of individual potential meeting a crucial developmental platform.
Yeah.
It shows how one young athlete's journey can mirror this broader, exciting, but still challenging evolution happening across Indian sports.
And stories like Payas, they remind us what the heart of sports is really about, don't they?
Totally. The determination to get better, The pursuit of those big dreams, that constant process of learning from everyone you encounter.
And finding that bit of joy, that resilience, even when things are tough, it's way more than just the game itself.
It really is. It honestly makes you want to urge anyone listening, if you haven't really watched competitive table tennis, check it out.
Yeah.
It is a world away from, casual basement ping pong. Follow players like Payas, see the intensity, the incredible speed, the strategy involved.
Absolutely. And maybe here's something to ponder as you think about all this. Consider the path ahead. For Payas, for this whole wave of Indian athletes across different sports. Could the foundation that's being laid right now through leagues like UTT, through that increased national support, could it actually propel India towards not just, participation, but maybe even dominance on the global table tennis stage eventually?
Fundamentally changing how the sport is seen in the country forever.
Yeah, could that happen?
It's a fascinating thought. And based on the energy and talent we saw bubbling up at UTT 2025, well, keep watching. Because the most exciting chapters of this story are probably still to come.